Previously on We Promise Nothing.
Oh, what? Because you got a podcast? You some kind of big shot now?
No, I'm sorry, E.T.'s bully brother. And now, this week's episode.
I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Oh, really? I got some dentine right here.
No. I'm here to kick ass.
What about Hubba Bubba?
Oh, no, it's the worst. Listen, I'm here to kick some ass and,
Chiclets! I got chiclets.
Chiclets? Who's chiclets? I haven't seen those in years. No, I don't want any gum. I'm just saying, I just really want to kick some ass. And...
I got juicy fruit.
Yeah, I'll take some juicy fruit. But I'm still kicking ass.
Hey! Why? I gave you the gum!
I told you I want to kick some ass.
This is juicy.
Take that! This is Jpar, and you are listening to the We Promise Nothing show. This week, we have Lipp, we have Kathy, and we have Boo. But before we get started, just like to remind everyone that our music is brought to you by SoundsLikeAnEarful.com. For great music for your podcast, make sure you go to SoundsLikeAnEarful.com. Now, this week we'll be reviewing They Live, 1988 sci-fi thriller by John Carpenter. But before we get into that, let's just talk to our panel for today. Say hello, everybody.
Hey, it's Lipp. How's it going, everybody?
Hey guys, it's Boo here. How are you doing?
Hi, it's Kathy. What's up?
All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get into the movie review. They Live, starring John Carpenter. Let me just read a few facts here, and then we'll get things going here. So, it's a sci-fi thriller. 1988 was release date. A drifter discovers a pair of sunglasses that allow him to wake up to the fact that aliens have taken over the Earth. Starring Rowdy Piper, Keith David, everyone's favorite voice actor, especially ours as of late, and also Meg Foster. It grossed over $13 million in U.S. box office with a budget of $4 million. A few little facts here. The line, "I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass," which is what we related our skit off from the opening there, and "I'm all out of bubblegum," was ad-libbed by Roddy Piper, according to director John Carpenter. Piper had taken that line from a list of ideas that he had for his pro wrestling interviews. And also, the communicators in the guards are actually PKE meters from Ghostbusters. We actually remember us saying that? We were like looking at that.
We noticed it.
It was like, what the hell? PKE meters. It's not even the first time I've seen movies like rip Ghostbusters off like that, like having a PKE meter, so I thought that was pretty hilarious. Okay, also, Roddy Piper's character never gives his name, nor is he referred to name throughout the entire movie. He is simply referred to as Nada in the credits, which means nothing in Spanish. The name is most likely a reference to George Nada, the main character of Ray Nelson's short story 8 O'Clock in the Morning, which was the basis for the movie They Live. And the scene where this is funny too, where Roddy Piper and Keith David just beat the holy living shit out of each other. In South Park, Cripple Fight, that was taken blow by blow. It was copying that scene where they beat the shit out of each other. Yeah, that's why it lasted so long. Also, graffiti artist Shepard Fairey got his Obey name from this film.
Interesting.
Yep, and it's the second and final of two collaborations to date of actor... to date was like July 2014, but I'm sure it's still relevant. Of actor Keith David and director John Carpenter, who had previously both worked together on The Thing, 1982, which was actually one of the suggestions from one of our listeners for us to review, so we still might get onto that movie. And also, John Nada from They Live and Ash Williams from Evil Dead are inspirations to the one-liners that Duke Nukem says in Duke Nukem 3D.
Well, you certainly catch a lot of that throughout the movie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He has a lot of great one-liners that just kind of like brings out the character in the movie, and just it's kind of hilarious actually. Lipp, first time seeing him, what'd you think?
It was actually really good. Went in there, kind of expecting an older movie not to be actually as good as it was. It's filmed really well. John Carpenter does a really good job. I thought it was a little slow going at the start, but just awesome story. I love how it ended. Good fight scenes, a couple little shooting scenes here. Really, really good. I loved everything about it.
And it was kind of Kathy's idea to watch this movie. I'm sorry we didn't pick a fan choice this week, but and also I'm sorry we missed last week, folks. But we will be getting back into that shortly, and I'll talk about more in a second. But back to the movie, Kathy, you introduced us to us. So what's your opinions on We Live?
I think it's a great take, of
They live, not we live. They live.
Oh,
sorry,
I didn't even catch that.
You should have.
I know of all things. No, I think it's an interesting take on they live among us type thing, and how that they're actually almost digitally pretending, like making us see them as human beings. You know what I mean? Even for back in the day, like we had mentioned while watching the movie that it took a while to hack into their systems, and that term really wasn't hugely popular back then.
Yeah, I was saying that's kind of like ahead of its time. That part is like, oh, it must have took the hacker weeks to figure this out. Where the guy they hack the TV, right, and they see the signal, and they're saying stuff that even Anonymous would be kind of saying. Stuff that you hear from V from Vendetta, like Fight Club, that anti-establishment kind of thing, which is kind of funny. You're right. Like it's almost like ahead of its time for that. What do you think, Boo?
Actually, I think the one part of it that really intrigued me the most was just how it kind of played on. Because I have to agree, you guys are admitting one factor when it came to how advanced, ahead of its time it was. I'm thinking more in a political sense, which I'm not going to get into that theme, but it's just the fact that it took society and how we all seem to just kind of be drones and living out our daily lives, not noticing what's happening around us, accepting life the way it is, and just taking it day by day, and all of a sudden we don't realize, but before we know it, aliens have kind of already invaded our societies. So I thought that whole premise of the movie actually got my attention. But I have to admit, a lot of the interesting action sequences were well thrown in there. It didn't feel totally out of place. It certainly felt scripted, but I mean that's the whole point. We had Roddy Piper, in the lead role here. But I think for me, though, the only thing that was a letdown, I think, was just the sheer look of the grotesqueness of these supposed aliens. I think that's where we kind of take it for granted to nowadays, that when we think of something alien, maybe humanoid, maybe, if we're lucky, but more often than not, it's not. So it kind of showed the budget, that much more in this particular sci-fi movie. But overall, it was really, really well put together. It was entertaining all the way through the end.
And John Carpenter has a tendency of making his movies look like a B-rated kind of movie, kind of a throwback to those old, gory, cheesy horror flicks, right? So, wasn't a surprise to see that from the alien creatures, like what they looked like. I mean, like it kind of was a thing. Even like him putting on the sunglasses, that's like black and white, so it's almost a throwback to those old movies in itself, in a way.
I kind of feel like that kind of tied in with that whole. Was it around that time when they were introducing 3D into the films with the red and green glasses there that you would wear, so to speak? So
You think that's a tie-in to that?
Not so much a tie-in. I kind of felt like they were influenced by that concept, because this idea of wearing glasses to see the aliens was kind of, when you think about it, was pretty basic. I mean,
Well, they put the contact lenses by the end, which was kind of cool.
Well,
so they
they
didn't have to wear the
upgrade them.
glasses, right?
It's just, I guess, this idea that you're seeing them through a lens. So what's so special about
I
these
love the
lenses,
vision of the glasses, the fact that all this advertisement's being jammed in your face constantly, which we all see every day. Obviously they had,
I'm glad you
a
mentioned
sweet
that.
message behind it, right? They just wanted people not to see and just to...
I really love that, yeah.
I think
You look at the money and says, this is your god, you know what I mean? Or you look at advertise, it says consume, and it says, don't be a free thinker, and obey, which is what we touched upon. Don't be a free, it says don't use your imagination and stuff like that. So,
No independent thought.
Yeah, go to sleep, no independent thoughts. Like, basically just nulling the society, dulling out society just to so that they can control them.
And they actually
You know,
mentioned, like, the rich at the end are part of it.
Right,
So,
and then, yeah, exactly, there's like an alliance of humans at the end who are actually a part of it with the aliens to take over. So, it's just like very, kind of ahead of its time,
Absolutely.
I honestly feel it had more to do with just this sheer openness of people, because this was very much an alien story when you think of it, right? I mean, alien invasion stories were nothing new, but they certainly developed differently over the years. And I think the biggest difference with this one was that it was almost pointing the finger at ourselves before we started pointing the finger at, what's out there. It was too easy to just jump to the conclusions that they were in outer space more often than not. They could have scripted that into the movie, and suddenly he's no longer on Earth the whole time. He's on some other planet, and he thought he was on Earth. No, he literally just happened to be off of the planet Earth for a brief moment just to see that, yeah, there was an alien civilization traveling between planets and stars. That didn't have that teleporter machine, at some point throughout the movie. To me, that kind of gave me the hint, like, this is a society that's already embedded itself in other planets and other cultures and other species.
Oh, yeah, they said,
own way.
they're slowly cultivating the Earth to be its, third planet or something like that. It's
So,
third
yeah.
Earth.
So it kind of, I think for me, that was this whole idea around that time when, alien abductions and such were becoming more common to be said. I think that was something inspired by that too. They realized that they could develop a story that was more plausible, and you start to see a lot of these actually around that time, in the 80s, I think.
Okay, another thing that I want to mention is like the hilarious scene where Keith David and Roddy Piper just beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, and I think Kathy said it during the movie. It's reminiscent of Family Guy, the fight scene that just never ends.
Well, no, I
You
just
think
said it
it's
was
done.
Family Guy, or no, Family Guy, right? Sorry,
Family Guy, yeah.
I mentioned the South Park thing, so I got confused.
Yeah. But very, reminiscent of Family Guy, Peter fighting the chick, and just goes on forever, and you think it's done. No, it keeps going. I think it's done again. No, keeps going.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious. And also when Meg Foster chucks him out the window. Oh man, that was hilarious.
It had a couple jumpy moments a bit, just come out of nowhere. It's really well filmed. So I thought that was one where she came out of nowhere, attacked him, and threw him out the window.
No, I know.
Half a second, he's whoa.
Not only does she hit him with a cup over the head, which I thought, okay, he's gonna fall over. No, and land on the floor. But no. She pushes him out the window instead. I don't even know how high of a drop it was. He rolls down the hill. It's just oh my god. Hilarious. Didn't see that coming. But so, let's wrap this up. Lipp, what are you rating?
I'm gonna give it 4 stars. 4 out of 5. I really liked it. I love some of the themes behind it. Actually, I didn't expect much going in. One of the older films, I kind of expected to like it less than I did. I really enjoyed it. It was good. The themes are amazing. Filmed awesome. John Carpenter did a great job with all the shots, and the music was good too, and everything.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this movie too. It's very original, I find. It is kind of ahead of its time.
Absolutely.
Like Boo said, you could have taken any aliens invading the Earth thing, and it ends up being an Independence Day or some crazy thing, or War of the Worlds. But this is the aliens are already here, and they're trying to find them out just by looking through these sunglasses and whatnot. I couldn't think of what to give this. I think I'm going to give it a 4 as well.
I don't know. I'm kind of leaning more towards 3.5, and I think the only reason why for me, guys, is just the sheer age. It's not an ageless movie. You can tell there was certainly a lot of thought put into the story, which I really appreciate. That's certainly a John Carpenter's kind of perspective. I know he's maybe not so much part of the writing in this story in itself, but you can certainly see a style imbued into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think 3.5 I might have to stick with, just due to the fact that it's not so much ageless. But I do happen to love the story that much more.
And Kathy?
I'm probably gonna because I like the humor in it. I think I will give it a 4 just because I do enjoy movies basically on humor and cleverness and stuff like that.
Well, you also have a history with this movie because you know of this movie. This is for us. It's the first time seeing it.
Oh
You've
yeah,
seen
I
it
go
many
way
times.
back with this movie. I watch it often with all of my family, so it also has that sentimental value to it as well. So I even for that I give it a 4.5, just because it makes me feel good to watch that movie.
Right on. So there you have it. They Live. Pretty good ratings, I guess, for the 1988 sci-fi John Carpenter movie. All right. So moving right along here. we're going to jump into actually Roddy Piper. I just wanted to mention some things because since we did bring that up, or because since he's in this movie. Roderick George Roddy Toombs. He was born April 17th, 1954. Of course, he just passed away recently, July 31st. For those of you who know, everyone knows him as Roddy Piper. Was a Canadian professional wrestler, actor, and podcast host. Wait, what do you know? Also, let's see. He was Canadian because of his Scottish heritage. He was billed as coming from Glasgow. Was known for his signature kilt and bagpipe entrance music. He earned the nickname Rowdy and Hot Rod by displaying his trademark Scottish rage, spontaneity, and quick wit. Industry veteran Ric Flair hailed Piper as the most gifted entertainer in the history of professional wrestling. Outside of pro wrestling, Piper acted in dozens of films and TV shows, one of them which we viewed tonight. At the first WrestleMania, Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff faced Hulk Hogan and Mr. T in a tag team match at the main event. Piper recalled how during the match he had to keep Mr. T busy to cover Mr. T's lack of wrestling ability from being seen by the fans. From this situation, Piper and Mr. T's real-life relationship became hostile, leading to the inevitable conclusion that they put into a feud with one another on screen. Piper faced Mr. T in a boxing match at WrestleMania 2 in 1986, which Piper lost by disqualification after body slamming Mr. T. And he also appeared in a Cyndi Lauper video, Goonies Are Good Enough, which also featured Captain Lou Albano, Wendy Richter, Fabulous Moolah, Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, Freddie Blassie, and Andre the Giant. Now, also another thing, when I said Duke Nukem was kind of associated with this movie. Did I say Evil Dead or Duke Nukem?
Duke Nukem.
Okay, Duke Nukem is associated with this movie because that one line, kick ass, I'm here to kick ass, chew bubblegum, which was pretty much taken from here. But also, like I said, also inspired by Ash Williams from Evil Dead. Now, there's a new Evil Dead coming out series, Ash versus the Evil Dead. And I actually just showed Lipp the trailer today. What did you think?
It actually looked really good. I'm actually really excited for it. I'm going to go back and probably watch the Evil Dead series again. But it starts off kind of serious. I'm like, okay, maybe it's going to be like a more serious Evil Dead. No, right into the comedy. Right away to the exact same kind of, jokes I remember from the Evil Dead series. I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, it looks...
You got Bruce Campbell back? Like, how do you...
You can't do Evil Dead without Bruce Campbell.
Well, exactly. And it's just so good. So it has him in the future.
No one delivers those one-liners like we were talking about, like Bruce Campbell, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited for it. A comedy zombie flick or evil flick.
And that's like a really serious... Like, for me, like, some of the horror movies, like those cheesy horror films, I love them. And the fact that Evil Dead 2 and, like, Army of Darkness just plays up on that, it just cracks me right up. So I love seeing those kind of movies. So, how does it affect you, like, Boo, the Evil Dead series?
Are we so much saying it's a movie or it's a TV series?
We're talking about Ash vs. the Evil Dead, the TV series that's coming out.
I think for me, the one thing I'm anxious for the most is the fact that it brought back memories when I was younger watching, Bruce obviously himself, when he played in Jack of All Trades, and Hercules and Xena and all that.
And
that
Lucy
quality.
Lawless is in the series as well.
Yeah, exactly, which makes sense, right? So, I mean, if they've worked together, back in the day, it would certainly be something that I can see happening, more often. I think they've worked together plenty of times, actually, afterwards.
Well, I'm sure they have, because Sam Raimi likes to cast them in a lot of things.
Yeah. No, I think for me, that's the feeling I get when I think of the Ash versus the Evil Dead, when they bring back that whole feel, because I think that's the quality of directing and producing I think we'll expect in this show. I just hope to God they just don't lose the humor too quickly, because that's something that can be overdone really, really soon. But
yeah, it could be. But hopefully not. Kathy, what do you think?
Oh, I am more than supremely pumped for the series. I've always loved the Evil Dead franchise.
What was like the first Evil Dead movie you saw? When did it first get on your radar?
Oh, well, with the first one.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah. And my brother actually introduced it to me for the first time. He's like, "Okay, Kathy, you're gonna have to see this movie. It's a horror, but it's hilarious." And we watched it, and we died laughing our butts off, and we quoted it since then today. It just it's basically followed me most of my life in some way or form or whatever. So, of course, I am very excited for it.
The first one I saw was Army of Darkness. And I knew it was like hokey, but I was just like, oh, whatever, I'll go with it. And then the stuff, that end scene where those skeletons, like the dead, attack the castle, it's just so over the top. It's just so ridiculous, but man, I laughed my ass off when I saw that. And like, I didn't even realize it was like a movie that was intentionally trying to be bad, you know what I mean, in some way. So I was like, where did this fucking movie come from? It's like, just totally ridiculous ending. You know, but then you know that I became aware that it was part of the Evil Dead series, and I had to go back and watch the other ones.
Yeah, I saw it in order, but I know my neighbor, he was actually, I didn't even realize it at the time, but he was the first one who probably introduced me to the Evil Dead series. He told me, he's like, man, I stayed up late and I watched this movie on cable last night. The guy had a chainsaw on his arm. He was just
Chainsaw for our hand, it was sweet, man.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, what the? That sounds pretty cool. Then eventually, years later, I ended up watching them all, in a row, and I was like, oh my god, this is the one my buddy was talking about, the chainsaw. Yeah, and then actually went to Toronto a few years back and went and saw the Evil Dead musical. And the first few rows got splattered with blood, fake blood. It was actually really awesome.
I've actually wanted to see that. They had the Fan Expo convention one year. I just never had the chance to get around to seeing it. But I was told good things about it, though.
It was great. Absolutely. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's sweet. I can't wait for that. Ash vs. Evil Dead. It's supposed to come out, like, I guess, later on this month, right? You said it's Halloween, right?
Halloween night at 9 o'clock.
On Stars. So,
Yeah.
no one here has Stars here, because this is Canadian land. So,
I'm sure it'll be on some affiliate channel over here.
I'd like to remind everyone that this week's episode is brought to you by Random Thoughts by Kathy.
If you could only talk to one type of animal, what would it be?
If you could only talk to one kind of animal, what would it be? Now, I want everyone to stop and think about that for a second. Let's see. What would be a good animal to talk to? Like, what animal would I be able to influence?
We have to consider a few things, actually, about it. Like, do you want to be able to talk to a ferocious animal, so if ever you came across it, you could let him know that, you know, it's like, I come in peace type thing, so he doesn't eat your face off? Or do you want to be practical and talk to an animal that you would actually encounter lots of, so you could actually have, like, a minion of animals on your side?
It's got to be, okay, can I just say birds? Or does that have to be a specific kind of
No,
bird?
that would just be like saying mammals.
I know.
So that's kind of...
I was
reptiles.
I was trying to cheat.
No cheating. No.
Okay, but if we said something like hawk, do you get all hawks?
Yeah, all like the family of hogs, like...
Okay. Or eagles.
Or wolves, or bears, or
Is that what we're calling-
deers, or cats, or...
Don't forget, we're not. If we're calling eagles, they're not the eagles from Lord of the Rings here. So let's clarify that for a second.
She said
or
all
the band.
types of eagles.
I know they solve all the problems of the world, but no eagles this time.
Well, let's see. I might have to go with dogs, maybe.
It's the most
And-
practical, I think.
And I think the reason I would choose that is because dogs, the canines are like everywhere. So even if you're in the forest, you could probably talk to wolves, right? Is that how that works?
Is a wolf a dog?
Well, it is.
It kind of is. So would you still?
It's a canine, so...
And dogs are like everywhere. So if you went to the city, you'd be able to talk. There'd be many of them around, so you could talk to them. So you'd always have like a huge supply of dogs around. I was gonna say cats too, but there's not as many cats in the wild, right? So you kind of got the advantage of that.
At least we know what you're intending to do with said animal. You're just
What?
trying to invade the world, is what you're trying to say.
No, I'm just.
That was your ultimate goal, though, is what it sounds like. What species could I exploit to purposely take over the surface?
I'm just saying, if anyone's fucking with me, I could summon one of these. Maybe I could convince one of these canines to help me out and attack the person, or help me out if I need some information, if I'm stuck in the forest, or just anything.
All right. Well, I was thinking on a different line. I was thinking like like a species like the dolphins, where they're clearly just as capable of more intellectual. Oh my god, intellectual thinking. More so.
Right
than
now,
us,
the
right?
dolphins are sounding smarter than you.
But to think of it though, I mean, if and actually another point of view for me was that given the dolphins can't actually go deep into the depths of where we normally
Mordor?
can't go.
Oh.
Not a Mordor. No. Back to reality.
I don't want it.
I think the fact that we don't know our own oceans is always an interesting point.
So you want to know that you want to do like the Sequest thing and like discover the
I think I
ocean.
take like
Sequest
whales.
thing.
I take whales over dolphins. I just like ride a giant whale across the ocean, maybe.
At least a dolphin is faster.
So you
Is a
two
dolphin
are
faster
planning
than a whale?
both to become
Oh, yeah.
Aquaman, is what you're saying.
The shittiest
I'm not
of
trying to-
superheroes.
I'm not trying to conquer something here. It's like you make it sound like I'm picking a species.
All right.
No, I think for me it would be. An
Well, you'll be
interesting point of
safe
view.
away from my wolves in the ocean anyway. Where the wolves of Jpar won't find us. So, you asked the question, Kathy. What do you got?
I would probably go. With. I imagine it's some sort of bird. So I'm trying to going with like eagle or goose or
Goose.
Just for a lot of reasons. Just like if I were stuck in the woods or whatever, it could fly really far to get message out to somebody or get me help or. And I could send it up so I could see far ahead to see if I'm going to be running into any danger, and it could warn me.
So you're saying
that
a
would
goose?
be-
Is that what you said? A goose?
Or a goose. No.
We did that.
Oh, you did that. No.
Yeah, he said a goose, but I'm thinking I wanted to. You know what? No, a raven because it's smart as well. A raven. Yes, I would like to speak to ravens.
And they are almost everywhere, actually.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Big ass birds, dude.
And they're smart, and then you they'll use tools to make another tool to get something that they need. They're brilliant animals.
Problem
So, yes.
solvers.
Yes. So even if I had a problem, it's like, hey, yo, Raven, how do I fix this?
Yo, Raven! What up?
So, did a quick little research there. Dolphins swim 3 to 7 miles per hour. Whales 30 miles per hour. 10 times
Oh!
faster.
I think it all depends on what we're trying to.
Absolutely.
Measure.
Well, I think dolphins might be more
If we're
useful.
talking like a massive whale here, that I can understand the span of it. If its body would do that, but
Yeah.
that's not why I would want my dolphins, though.
Alright, it's time for everybody's favorite game show. Pitch That Movie! That's right. And this is your host, Jpar. This is the show where we roll up a random number on our die 20, and we have a few selected categories. We name a celebrity, the genre of the movie, and with two prefixes kind of mixed together, just kind of make up like a ridiculous scheme for a movie, and then their job is to pitch it to me. I'm like a movie producer, and then I come up with the best one. We're going to do 3 rounds, and I'll give a point to everyone, or to the people I think deserve it that round. And we're going to start with Boo. He'll be rolling first. So this is just something we're trying out. This should be fun.
Here we go, folks. Oh, and it's lost. 7.
All right, so you get Shia LaBeouf.
La bouffe.
We get to bring him back.
Roll your next one, Boo.
17.
In a drama. Oh, this is going to be hilarious. With, roll again.
10.
So, exploding. And one more time.
It's a Michael Bay movie.
Maybe.
It's
It's a
exploding.
drama, though.
It's
It's a
exploding.
drama.
He's crying and it's everything is exploding. 4.
With exploding chimps.
Champs.
God.
Wow. Pitch this one to me, Boo. How are you going to make me buy this?
Alright, so let me think here. Okay. So we picture an afternoon. Young man's walking down the street. Realizes his hopes and dreams have suddenly been lost. Has no idea what to do next. Then suddenly there's screams.
Uh-oh.
Gunfire everywhere. There's
my.
absolutely chaos. Everyone's dying left and right.
Ah!
Now, out the corner of his eye, he suddenly sees a rolling hill, and what comes across that rolling hill?
What?
And an army of chimps.
Oh my god.
Now, of course, how would you react to such a thing?
Oh my God.
Dramatically?
Very dramatically sound. Oh boy. He suddenly.
Kathy, go.
So suddenly, he looks up and he sees these chimps coming up, right? So he's thinking, he's like, oh my god, what am I going to do? So he calls to his car, and the car comes up to him, and then he jumps into the car and then runs down the hill towards the chimps, and then runs them over, and they see them flying all over the place. But they stop the car unsuspectedly, and then I don't know.
You don't know. The hell?
Also,
Lipp,
I lost
pitch this thing to me, Lipp.
All right. Shia LaBeouf is working as a bartender and has a pet chimp.
Okay.
It's his favorite chimp in the world, his best friend, the best buds forever. They do everything together. Eventually, one day, he meets a woman, and he falls in love with the woman. But the chimp hates the woman and attacks the woman. And, the woman has to go through surgery and get facial reconstruction because the monkey ate her face. And then... This is not good.
Keep going.
To get back at the monkey, the woman plants explosives in his food. And mixed with some water, the chimp explodes. Shia LaBeouf is so sad, he cries himself to death. The end.
Alright, I'm gonna go point to Lipp because it sounded more like a drama to me. Yours guys...
Yeah, exploding.
You know what? I didn't know
exploding
you
chimp.
You contributed to his in this...
Yeah, I don't know
wanted
what
me to
Kathy was
follow
doing there.
his. Like, I didn't know that. I was
Okay.
Somehow you were a part of his, and then also his sounded more like it was supposed to be like a like an end of the world kind of thing.
Action
Like,
flick.
I was trying to
end
make
with
it
the
dramatic, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And I couldn't think. But if I could have started, I don't know. I could have made it better. Sorry.
all right,
Now I
so
know.
we'll
Now
do
I
the
know.
next round, and
That was
Kathy
a
gets
rough one.
the...
That first round's a rough one.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
good though. I think I was more invested with Lips though.
Yes, I'll have to agree with that one.
All right, so
7.
reroll because we already did that one.
Right. 14.
You get it's a duo. It's Seth Rogen and James Franco.
Oh,
All right, and roll to see what kind of movie it's gonna be.
hold on. Awesome. That's what it was gonna be. 16.
It's gonna be a mystery thriller
Nice.
with
13.
vampire,
Fuck yeah. 12.
gangs.
Oh, vampire gangs.
Well, this is
All right,
beautiful.
Kathy, pitch this movie to me.
Picture this. It is dark. All you see is a light streaming from the windows onto the street. You see 2 characters coming from the back alley. You just see like a shadow of them at first, and then they're coming forward, and then you see Seth Rogen and James Franco, and of course you constantly always see a like cloud of smoke around them. That is constant throughout.
It's not the
entire
mist;
movie.
it's the smoke.
See, that'll be their thing. Like, and then that's part of their superpowers, which you will see later. However, so they're and they have to figure out, like how these people are being murdered. Like, of course, like people are getting murdered all over the place, and then they have to investigate it. And then after further investigation, the first one they notice that oh my god, they have bites on their necks. Can it be dun 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 vampires? And it's like not just. And he goes, well, it can't just be one. So after and then they have to they go to Mr. Miyagi's place.
Mr.
And
Miyagi.
I decided to throw him in there because he's
Oh,
cute.
all right.
And to Mr. Miyagi's place to see if he had any extra, goggles and things so that they can investigate because they tripped over something.
That sounds
earlier
pretty
and-
interesting.
and
Let's
it's
hear
done-
Lip's version of this movie.
I'm not done. You haven't even heard the fact.
All right, finish it up then.
Well, they figured out that it was a whole bunch of them, then they went into this cave, and then they realized there was a whole bunch of them, and then they killed one, and they went, ah! And then they exploded, and they're all, covered.
And that's where the vampire gangs
yeah,
come in?
and then James Franco said, hey, I love you, Seth. And then they would hug each other, and then they would walk out, all
Some
happy.
awkward gay moment that they usually have.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be it. I'm done now.
Sorry. You kind of running a bit long, so you had to wrap it up.
Oh, wow, I didn't know we had a time.
Okay,
limit.
well, I mean, we don't got the rest of the episode to do it. Come on. It sounds good, though. It sounds very interesting. I might
Alright.
buy yours, but let's see what Lipp has to
Alright.
offer.
What's the genre again?
It's a mystery
thriller?
thriller.
Okay.
Mystery thriller.
All right, Seth Rogen, James Franco, starting their normal life off. Start of the movie, smoking weed, playing video games. You know, all of a sudden they run out of weed, and they don't know what to do. Right, so they gotta find more weed. Anyhow, they're at James Franco's place, and he remembers that he keeps smelling weed downstairs, and he thinks maybe in his grandfather's old stuff there might be some weed. So they go down there, and they actually find some haunted bongs and papers. And by smoking these bongs, it turns them into vampires. So Seth Rogen and James Franco are high vampires. And what do? Well, they got to create more vampires. So they create a vampire gang. Getting all their friends in there. They got Daryl from The Office in there. And the guy with the mullet who was the baseball player.
Right.
Anyhow, they slowly take over the world and smoke tons of weed.
Where's
That's
the
it.
mystery?
Oh, there is no mystery. The mystery is where's the weed, and they found it.
I might not buy that one. Boo, what do you got?
Wow, some great ideas there. I don't know, I kind of had a simpler version of, I think, a little bit of both here, guys. Okay, picture this, which isn't so hard to picture, but let's believe this. Seth Rogen and James still smoking weed, for such a thing. This afternoon, they suddenly realized, yeah, they might have been out of weed, but they had planned ahead for it. Before they can get a chance to do anything, day turned into night. Night suddenly became a moment where they realized they could not step outside that house. They just could not do it. So then suddenly they started hearing noises. You know, areas in which where they don't normally hear noises. Night is basically getting, darker, and as they suddenly realize that they're actually not figuring out what's making these noises throughout the house, suddenly noises become pitter-patter. Before they know it, blood starts, arriving in locations normally you wouldn't find blood.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they notice some dead animals around the house. Puncture wounds coming from their necks.
Okay.
Before they know it, before night could turn back into day, the house is invaded by a gang of vampires.
Okay.
They fend them off one by one. Nothing to defend themselves other than their bongs. And just before...
Song of Destiny.
Just before they could ultimately fight off the last attack, night becomes day and they're suddenly saved. But they're still out of weed.
Okay. Before we continue, Kathy, I'd ask, when was yours take place?
When would mine take
Yeah,
place?
yeah.
In like the 1920s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that what
mine
you were
would be-
going with on
yeah.
that? Okay. Damn, there's some good ones here. Some really funny ones too. I could totally see like the last two being James Franco and Seth Rogen. Oh man. I think Kathy played up the mystery part of this one, so I'm gonna give it to her because she was going with like a 1920 kind of like Sherlock thing, I think, in a way, and it was kind of more with the theme. Although the other ones do sound pretty fucking funny. All right, so point to Kathy that time. All right, we'll do another round, and if it ends up being a three-way tie, we'll have to do like a sudden death where I roll, and you'll have to give me a really quick one if that happens.
All right. 9.
Okay, so your actor is Samuel L. Jackson.
16.
Reroll.
11.
Sci-fi adventure.
9 again.
With giant
19.
cheerleaders.
Jeez. Sci-fi adventure.
So Lipp, pitch this movie to me.
All right, Samuel L. Jackson's a badass motherfucker who is an astronaut and goes on a sci-fi adventure in space. His spaceship gets portaled through time and space, and he ends up on a planet with giant cheerleaders.
And then what?
Well, Samuel L. Jackson teams up with some of the cheerleaders,
Yeah.
ends up falling in love
Oh, yeah?
with the queen cheerleader.
Okay.
After he
Played
falls-
by who?
Played by Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore? Yeah, they're in a lot of roles together.
Not really. But they are in this movie. Anyhow, Samuel L. Jackson falls in love with her. Sadly, one day while sleeping together, she rolls over and crushes him. That is the end.
Where's the... I guess there's some adventure. Alright, I don't know about that. Boo, shoot this movie at me.
Oh, God. Well, I'm picturing Sam Jackson as this futuristic cop.
Alright.
It's kind of all I got, actually.
I couldn't really see it with giant cheerleaders.
It's
I
tough.
can see him being shocked at it.
I'm sorry, I got nothing. I might have to forfeit this one.
Kathy?
All right, so you see Samuel L. Jackson, and he's sitting at a desk, and he gets a fax. Well, no, not a fax, because it'll be the future. Yeah,
So it's in the past.
no, we want it in the future. So you see him at his computer, and then he accepts a job, and he's a bounty hunter. So he knows that he has to go to Delta Factor 4. And then, so he jumps in his, in his teleporter,
Right,
and then he goes over to Delta Factor 4.
right.
So, but what he didn't know is that he actually had cheerleaders stowaway because they were trying to hide away from this
Oh.
little monkey-faced,
Danny DeVito?
yeah, possibly. And they were running down, and then what he didn't know and they were running away from him, and then they jumped into the ship, into the transporter with them.
Right.
So when they got there, he still doesn't know that they're there, and then they're just still kind of hiding, and he takes off to look for his, I don't know, Wookiee. We're gonna say a Wookiee because as a
I don't know
placeholder-
if Disney would approve of this movie with a Wookiee being in it.
Well, I'm just using it as a placeholder, just his bounty, let's say, whatever.
Okay.
And
So
but in the
we're just-
meantime,
Yeah.
the cheerleaders try to escape to see if they, because they're starting to get hungry because
Yeah.
they're cheerleaders, and they have to eat eventually, I suppose. But then they get captured. So they have this, and then they
All
have
right.
this evil empire, and then they get zapped by to actually attack Samuel L. Jackson. So they're turned into giant cheerleaders.
Okay.
Sent to kill
Perfect.
Samuel L.
Good.
Jackson.
I accept it.
Okay.
All right. You're just gonna. You got a story to yours. Lipp just kind of like, hey, goes to a plane with cheerleaders. So I'm gonna give the win to Kathy on this one with 2 points. Good job. Those were some good ones. I really like the.
I like Kathy's bounty. I would have said the bounty was on the cheerleaders, though. Samuel L. Jackson had to kill.
Out of that one, hers was the best. It was still ridiculous. but-
Stowaway cheerleaders.
The James
that get
Franco
zapped
and
into
Seth Rogen
giants,
one was
and then they have to kill Samuel L. Jackson.
So Kathy's the winner.
Kathy is the winner. That was fun, actually.
That was fun. I
Hopefully,
liked
if you enjoy this, guys, people who are listening, if anyone is listening, please leave your comments below if you enjoy this, and we'll do it some more. We'll probably end up doing some more anyways, just because it's actually kind of fun to do. Now we're just going to move on to the next thing in conversation, which would be, did you want to talk about the Blue Jays doing good? Toronto Blue Jays? People at this point are like, wait, what? It's like sports? What do you mean sports? I'm not supposed to talk about sports.
Well, yeah, I think Canada's all excited.
Well, we'll do
Blue
a
Jays
brief
are-
mention about the Blue Jays, and if you don't like sports, maybe you can fast forward 5 minutes and we'll be good. But yeah, so Blue Jays going to, what is this, I guess the semifinals, or not really semifinal, but the finals of their division. They just beat Texas last night, and it was a great game, actually. Intense, and like people were throwing stuff on the field. It was hectic, man.
Absolutely, it's had one of the craziest seventh innings ever. Like the seventh inning took like 48 minutes or something like that between the time it cleaned up all the trash. And actually, I was telling them before, it looks poor on Toronto that the fans, disrespected the game a bit, and disrespected the refs and threw stuff. It's actually a shame. I think as Canadians we should be a little more respectful. But super happy to see the Jays continue on. Hopefully they can make it to the end.
Yeah, that's right. That would be awesome.
The American League won the All-Star game, so Jays would have home field advantage.
And the last
If they
time
make it to the World Series.
last time they did this was 1993. And 92, 93, those are the years that they won the World Series. So it'd be awesome to see them do it again. So, that's your sports update from We Promise Nothing. What you thought you were listening to reviews about movies? No. We gave you a sports update. Send us hate mail later.
So, speaking of Toronto, actually, all of us recently went to Toronto.
Yeah, we did.
All doing different things. Like,
Mhm.
I went, I was at the Bluffs, the beaches, I went to Wonderland, I went to the docks, went go-karting, did a bunch of stuff, and I was just like, what's your favorite things to do in Toronto, or what did you do in Toronto? And
We went to Palladium, and we did go-karting as well. And of
Nice.
course, we watched the Jays game. Wanted to get tickets. Unfortunately, we couldn't because it's crazy. So we just went to a bar and had a few beers and stuff.
nice.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I did in Toronto that were different for me. I went to the Bluffs, and they're almost like cliffs in the back of you. It's really neat. I also went to the haunted thing at Wonderland.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And
that's cool.
that was pretty incredible. Like,
I've always wanted to go.
even if you can't go on any of the rides, it's actually worth going that day. It's just everything's dark, and then you have these wonderful costumes and zombie people, and they're all trying to scare the
bejesus out of you.
Yeah. And of course, because I'm animated, so I'm running through there. So of course they're targeted on me and following me everywhere, trying to scare me all the time, and they're in my face, right? And then they make those eerie sounds in my ears. And anyway, it's awesome. If you can go, you should definitely go. Yeah. And then we went go-karting. I almost got knocked off the track, but that's a whole other story. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Laughed my butt off.
Yeah, so we're obviously from Canada, and we're pretty close to Toronto. Yeah, so
Yeah, I went for
Canada represent.
Yeah. When I went to Toronto, I saw Jay's game a while ago, but I just went to Nuit Blanche, which is French for White Night. It's actually an event that takes place, starts at sunset and goes till sunrise. A lot of the bars are open till 6 a.m. The transportation system, subway for the city's open all night, and there's 110 different art representations, different light sculptures and events. One of the subways is closed down and made into an underground park. Just all these different interesting artistic events, and it's actually really fun to just go around the city and enjoy it.
Yeah. Nice. All right, so that's about it for this week. We've got a pretty good amount of time here. So I just want to remind everyone, please keep leaving comments and keep listening to the show. Like, subscribe, share, all that great stuff. And keep leaving requests for movies to watch for Halloween. Because even though we didn't pick it this week, we're going to do it next week. There's still some other great suggestions that we're going to go back and look at. So keep those requests coming. We're still doing the Halloween thing. We're still going to do at least 2 more. Even if we run past October, we're still going to do one more Halloween themed movie just to say that we did all 4. Once again, apologies for last week. We were tied up as we spoke about. We went to Toronto last week, so we didn't get an episode out there. We apologize for that. Hopefully we'll get to make up somewhere with a double review somewhere along the line. All right, so this is Jpar signing out.
This is Boo.
This is Pat.
And this is Lipp.
And remember, if you don't like what we say or you got something to disagree with, we
promise nothing.
Good night, everybody.
Leave comments.